I bought this crash damaged Mercedes-Benz GLC43 AMG from an auction site across several thousand miles away. We disassembled the entire front end of the car, we stripped down the interior to replace the rear seat belts, and we put it all back together. We replaced the deployed airbags with the new ones, and in the last video we turned the car from this to this to this. We put a brand new radiator pack and we rebuilt the front end completely. We met a few challenges with the SRS module, but eventually managed to clear all faults with it. Today we're going to take care of the last remaining problems with the car and hopefully drive it for the first time. And this is the new filter. And stay tuned, because today we're also going to review how expensive a build like this can actually get. We have a fault for a wheel speed sensor, which we have to change. So the next thing we're gonna do is the wheel speed sensor, which is basically this thing. We have a ton of faults just because of that, so hopefully by the end of today we should clear the vast majority of faults on the car. In order to take the wheel speed sensor or the ABS sensor, or aka ABS, we have to unscrew this little bolt here. Okay, and then we follow it through here behind, and then it should come off here. So it's the yellow one, the second one here goes up, and then it connects in the body there with a little connection. But we're gonna start from this side and work our way up. Disconnecting the ABS sensor without taking off the wheel arch liner is a full-on nightmare, so make your life easier by removing it first. Half an hour later we have finally taken it out, and what we are just about to do is put the new one in. Old one, new one. This is the bad boy, and this is the good boy going in. So we have found the issue, and it is, I don't know if you can see, but the sensor is ripped off here. So that's why you can see the inside. That's why it does not function properly. And now the new one is in, so let's go for a test drive. So far so good. No errors, fingers crossed, and the next task is to do a full service on the car, starting with the air filters. Once you've removed the air filter, it's a good practice to clean up the airbox too, as sometimes as you're pulling the filters out, the stick debris to the filter could fall straight down into the box and later go into your engine. And before we get covered in dirt, let's replace the cabin air filters too. We continue with the service today. We're gonna be changing the oil and the oil filter. We bought this special tool for Mercedes-Benz in order to be able to basically take off the oil filter cap. And let's see. Unfortunately, we had to do the service over a couple of different days, as I didn't have available all parts and tools to do it all in one go, such as this oil filter cap removal tool specifically designed for Mercedes-Benz. So this is the old filter and this is the new filter. So what we have to do now is we need to put a little bit of oil on this old oil ring. So this is a new oil ring, and this is where it stays. So we are taking the old one off like that, and you can throw this into the bin. It's always good to put some oil on the O-ring. Once this is done, we just try to slide it all the way back, and as you can see, we have now, it's fully lying in the channel. There is one more here, one more basically a rubber gasket here. This is also good to be covered with a little bit of oil. So once this is done, the filter goes in until it clicks, and then you can tighten it by hand as long as you can, and then you can use the tool to tighten it a little bit more. Usually there is a torque spec for this, but we don't have a torque meter today, so we're just gonna tighten it by hand, and that's it. It's always good to change your drain port. So we've got a brand new one which we're gonna be replacing, and always make sure that this copper gasket is also brand new to avoid any leaks in the future. Okay, so we are using 0W40 oil. According to the spec, this engine should fit 6.5 liters of oil. And in goes 6.5 liters of oil. Unfortunately, we cannot measure half of this. Actually, we could with another container, but we're on the field, so we just have a feeling of what about it is. So we just pour like a tiny little bit, and then we fill it. That's it. That's exactly half a liter. This is our old engine undercover or engine cover, and this is our brand new one. The reason why this is in this state is because we ripped it off. So now we are fitting this brand new undercover for the engine, and then we have another one for the front end which holds the front wheel arch liners and the bumper, and we are good to go. The next step is to change the front brake pads. This car has a massive front brake calipers, and the more powerful a car is, the bigger brakes it needs to stop safely. Fortunately for us, the bigger the brake caliper gets, the easier it is to change its brake pads. There are two small poles we have to pull out that hold in place a metal plate. Once the plate is off, use a flat screwdriver to jiggle the pads a little, and they can then be easily removed. Don't forget, you have to put a brand new pad wear sensor every time you're changing these. Last time we found out that we have a rip-off here, which is basically a non-repairable part. We've been talking to people, and apparently what you can do usually is you cut a piece of metal around it and then you weld it together, but around this area is not double but triple reinforced aluminum. Because of that, it cannot be sort of welded, because in between the panels there is a bonding glue which will prevent a good sort of aluminum weld. So we have no choice but a brand new bonnet, which we are going to do today. This one is from Mercedes-Benz genuine parts, and we're going to mount it now on the car, and then the car will go to the body shop for painting. Let's go! We start off by removing all of the parts we're going to reuse, the latches, the bump stops, along with any rubber plugs. We then move on to detach the washer spray system, and finally all of the insulation fasteners, and believe me, there were many of them. The next step is to detach the gas strut. It has a little retaining band which must be pulled slightly to release the bolt stud from the ball joint until it finally pops out. We detach the old bonnet from the hinges, and in comes the new one. Of course, it wouldn't be me if I didn't drop the hinge nut down the bottom of the fender. After the nut is secured, we proceed with mounting the new bonnet on, and a 3-person 20-minute long fight with the gas strut. trying to hold its force while simultaneously trying to clip it back into place. To save you the trouble, detach the gas strut from the body of the car and attach it to the bonnet first, not the other way around. Sometimes I even surprise myself. The spray nozzles go back into place, followed by the 2 latches we removed earlier. And eventually, would you look at that, a complete new bonnet is installed. I actually like the color of the primer more than the one on the car. And it's now time for paint. The final stop is body shop. And whilst we waited for the body shop to work its magic, we had another issue at hand. Today we have a slightly different issue to deal with. My cameraman bought a new car, and guess what? It's an Audi again. Today the issue we have to deal with is, surprisingly, to do with the headlight. How familiar, huh? The issue we have today is that the right headlight is guiding the light too low on the road and we can't really see in the dark. We try to adjust the headlight by rotating this little screw here, but it seems like it is not connected somehow. So regardless of how much turns you do, the headlight doesn't really regulate up or down, apart from the other one, which does. So today we're going to be taking this off and we're going to see what's the issue. The first step is taking these screws out to just bend the wheel arch liner inside, because if you remember in the last video I mentioned about a bolt which sits just under the headlight, which today I have the opportunity to show you in detail. So this right there is the bolt that I was telling you about. I've taken a bumper like this so many times now that I know exactly what to look for. 3 bolts on the top, 2 on the bottom and 2 on the sides, including the hidden one. So the headlight is out, and now the plan of attack is to open this little box here and have a look inside what is happening here, because this is the vertical regulator. But stuff with cars can never be that simple, can it? We have found the issue, and unfortunately we have to basically disassemble the whole headlight, break it into pieces in order to reach where the problem is. But this little gear here is driven by the screw. So when you rotate this, you can see these gears sort of drive this gear extension, and this gear extension goes inside the headlight. The problem is, in here there are teeth that match this gear but are worn out. So regardless of how much you turn this, they can't really adjust the headlight. The temporary solution to that is, with a screwdriver we can actually access the teeth here. We can manually rotate with the screwdriver this. Now the problem is we have to do it whilst this is in my car, and right now it's sunny outside and we won't see anything, so we'll do this tonight. I'm guessing that this is most likely a design flaw, but this is what the problem is. So we'll assemble the car now and try to adjust it manually, and then we'll see what the result will be. The next issue we have is linked to the parking sensors on the front. So very strangely, when you go in the car and there is an obstacle on the left hand side, it shows on the screen that there is an obstacle on the right hand side, and when you go on when there is an obstacle on the right hand side, it shows that there is an obstacle on the left hand side. So I think that whoever has changed this, and we have evidence, watch this. There is a silicone glued to this sensor, which means it has been changed. So what we are going to do now is to try to remove this glue, switch over the sensors and see if this will work. I think it will, but let's see. My cameraman is on the right hand side of the car, and as you can see, the left hand side moves. As you can see, is now on the left hand side of the car, and we have a movement here. It shows on the right hand side of the car. Update, we tried to change the harness itself, so it seems like this harness can be put on both directions. So despite the fact that it comes from the left hand side of the car, branches actually reach to the desired places for the PDCs itself, but we've just switched the order around. So we start from 1, 2, 3, 4, whereas before it was the opposite. But now we have the opposite issue. We have the two outside working and the two middle ones are changed. We're gonna switch two of the PDCs. The only problem is we have to switch the glued one, and we have to re-glue because most likely there will be a problem for this, and then we should be okay. So the final verdict is whoever's changed these sensors has put 3 left ones and 1 right one instead of 2 left ones and 2 right ones. So no matter how we rotate it or switch it around, there's always going to be 2 problematic zones which are out of place. Take the granny out of the garage and we used the wall to adjust the headlight. The process was living hell because the screwdriver was barely reaching to rotate the gears inside due to the angle at which it has to go in. But eventually we did it. We are back from the body shop. Hood is painted, front bumper is painted, and the left wing is painted, and the color is absolutely sensational. So there's not a single difference in the color. We even looked at it on the sun. All of the gaps are almost OEM, and I cannot explain how happy I am with the result. We had a few obstacles, but we're finally here. The car is ready, and now it's time to enjoy the ride. So let's go drive it.
Close to your heart, all of the pressure's gonna drive you crazy, 'cause you rise to the madness. In the morning it's all gonna vanish. Don't be afraid of the dark, be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you. Not every light is gonna guide you.
Yeah, when I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living out my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a foreign land. Whole wrist covered up in ice. Dealership, never ask the price. I hit the molly ball with my dogs. Yeah, I swipe it once without thinking twice, cause this what I was made for. Man, I know this what I came for. On a big stage, couple thousand people, and they do whatever I say so. Have chicks that color of the rainbow. Yeah, chains on me like Django. Be a long way from my tank low, cause my Tesla charge for them bank rolls, and I'm grinding. Money.
And those are my most favorite moments. The moments when you realize all challenges and obstacles were worth it, and you have brought something back to life.
I'm losing my mind, yeah, remind me.
Don't be afraid of the dark.
It is precisely those moments that inspire me to continue doing what I do.
Let it rain on your spark. Keep it close to your heart. All of the pressure's gonna drive you crazy, 'cause you rise to the
Welcome to my improvised space for the most significant part of our build, which is the financial calculations. First of all, we have the car cost, which is $33,236, which is equivalent to 29,743 euros. And this is including the shipping and all the fees from the auction that we paid. And now we start with the parts. We have a left headlight, which is 692 euros. We then have a hood, a brand new Mercedes-Benz genuine hood, which is 957 euros. We then move on with the extortionately expensive front end parts, which is basically the slam panel and the radiators. And this is point number 4. So slam panel plus radiators is 3,401 euros. We then move on with the front grille. So plastic parts, and this has cost us 1,525 euros. This is just the front grille, the Mercedes-Benz badge, and all of the little plastic in between. We then have the airbags plus seat belts, and this is, guess what, 1,146 euros. And we continue, of course. We had a dead battery, which was 116 euros. And we then move to the body shop cost. And this was 1,282 euros. And that's not all, ladies and gentlemen. We continue with the service. So this is service. This is including all of the service parts, so brake pads, oil, filters. This is including actually the aircon gas and the coolant itself, and also the fee for regassing the aircon. And this is 805 euros. And finally, we have something called others, where we have fees that we've moved the car from one place to another. We have bought all kinds of small things like little plastic bits, little adjustment tabs, bump stops for the hood, and all sorts of like little things like this. And this really adds up. And this is 1,358 euros for little bits and bobs. And that brings us to the total cost of the build, 41,225 euros. And that's how much it costs to build a car like that in Europe, to import it from US and to rebuild it in Europe. And this is only with the damage that we had, which was not a big deal, but still we had to change quite a few parts on it. All of the parts that we used are Mercedes-Benz genuine parts. We have only used second-hand parts for the parts where are not actually functional, such as the aluminium slam panel and stuff like that. And anything else we have actually bought brand new one, especially the radiators and all of the plastic bits on the front grille. As you guys can see, the price of a similar spec GLC43 is listed as 96,000 Bulgarian levs, which is equivalent to about 49,000 euros, which means we're still in the green zone. So, as you can see, a small damage like that can get extortionately expensive. So bear this in mind if you want to try this for yourself, and be careful, because there's always hidden damage and always hidden cost in all kinds of risky purchases like this. As you can see, guys, these builds cost a fortune, so the best way to support me is to subscribe to my channel, like, share and comment my videos. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time. The car is back.